Welcome to the world of Magic Maker, a world where a noble boy soon discovers the origin of what would soon be called magic by confessing his lifelong dedication to his sister Eris Greyrat. Yes, utilizing Wincest, he creates Magicest. You can't make this shit up. I'm sorry. I love anime. You can't make this shit up. Yes, Magic Maker How to Make Magic in Another World is a new series in the winter 2025 anime season. I have watched the first episode, and while I had zero expectations for this show, I did kind of have a little bit of hope for it, at least a desire to watch it, just because I knew that the sister in the series was voiced by the seiyuu that did Eris Greyrat, and she likes to swing a sword, and she's kind of dumb, so it kind of all fits to the character of Eris Greyrat. So I'm like, even if you're not trying to go for that, I think you're going for that. But yes, I watched the first episode. It kind of opens up uniquely. It opens up with a girl named Mary, and she is the daughter of this noble family, and she's very energetic. Everybody kind of sees that she's a very energetic girl. She doesn't think that she's very smart. Doesn't seem like she's, top of her grades or anything like that. But at some point, her parents come home with a new son. Yes, her little brother. And over time, you kind of see the fact that she's constantly watching her little brother, constantly seeing that he's always into the books. He's a very smart boy. And yes, she also notices some oddities about him. He doesn't look like other children. She'll often catch him gazing off in the distance. He always talks very grown up. The idea of, not wanting to wet the bed anymore, stuff like that. But she does know his secret, that every now and then she'll catch him off the side somewhere in secret, trying to do something weird. He's just sitting here yelling by himself in the middle of nowhere, yelling fireball and stuff like that, and she kind of finds it to be his silly side. But yes, at some point at the dinner table, her little brother speaks up to his father and asks him, hey, is there existence of monsters here? And he's like, yeah, there's monsters out there. They're very dangerous. That's why we tell you don't go past the fence. And, if you see one, run away and tell an adult. Well, then her little brother asks another very interesting question. Is there existence of fairies and spirits in this world? Which the father answers, yeah, there's the existence of fairies. They're very rare, though, and there's some traders that actually procure them and sell them. But then the little brother asks one last very odd question. Is there existence of magic in this world? Which the father's like, I don't know what this magic is. I've never heard of that word before. It's a very curious question. Well, after this, a few years pass by. We see that Mary is spending a lot of her time trying to train herself to be strong. She wants to be a swordsman so that one day she could protect her brother. Again, there's dangers of monsters out there. And she knows that her brother's really smart, so she's kind of hoping to protect him by becoming stronger. Well, one day while Mary is training next to this lake with her friend Rose, at some point some glowing lights come out of the lake. And she thinks this might be that magic that her little brother Shion was actually talking about, so she quickly goes and gets Shion and brings him back to the lake to show him these lights. And it turns out this is a good idea because this is something that kind of re-inspires Shion. She knows that he was always kind of down and in the books, and it seems like something was bothering him. Well, of course, this also sparks Shion to investigate this lake, figure out what's actually creating these orbs of light. They might actually be tied to magic itself. So he does a bunch of experiments by separating the water and the fish and the rocks and the dirt inside the lake to see what's actually creating the orbs. And nothing really kind of produces the same result until a friend comes by and she fishes up another fish and they put these two male and female fish together and suddenly orbs start coming from it. The only thing he's able to kind of figure from this whole thing is that possibly the courtship of the fish itself is creating the light. Well, this is great for Mary because she's like, oh, well, then I can create a courtship with my brother because, we're family basically, right? So we have that love already, so we can create this same sort of, glowing orb. Well, of course, yeah, this doesn't really go well with most of them. Like, no, you're your brother and sister. You can't do that. Even later on, Mary talks to the mom about it, and the mom, reprimands her and says, no, that can't be possible. You can't get married to your brother. Well, she ends up patting about this to her little brother Shion in his bedroom, saying, look, I got in trouble for it. They said that I can't marry you, and I don't understand why. Well, Shion replies to this saying, that's fine, we'll always be together. Even if we can't get married, we'll just always be together. That's perfectly fine. And she's like, but if you get married, it's a special thing. We'll get separated at some point. We'll get married to other people. He's like, no, I won't get married. I just won't get married, and we'll always be together, so don't worry about it. I know that you're always, striving to get stronger, to protect me and take care of me. I'm going to dedicate my life to you, basically, thing. And they embrace each other, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, glowingness comes from them. They realize they've kind of created that same reaction as those fishes that were courtshipping each other. And at which point, yes, Shion realizes that because he's dedicated himself to Mary, which is kind of similar to the idea of a confession, that created the magic, and then she runs away embarrassed, and then we get the reveal that yes, Shion this entire time has been an Isekai. Shock to nobody. And he's been trying to discover how magic works in this world, or at least try to create it in this world, because he's been told that it doesn't exist. And that's kind of the gist of the first episode. That's basically what we kind of opened up here. Like I said before, A very unique way of actually opening up a story because, yes, like I've kind of explained it, it's all from the perspective of the sister. Actually, there's a kind of a side of me that kind of wishes that they didn't have like key art and whatnot that was describing it as basically this guy who's, yes, a protagonist character in an isekai that shoots magic out of his hands and has a massive harem. I almost wish that it was actually advertised and whatnot with Marie in the middle. That way it kind of gives that sense that the story is about Marie and she has this weird younger brother. But yeah, you kind of get a sense by the fact that when she's describing Shion all the time, yeah, it's probably a case of at least reincarnation because he's always acting like an adult. He doesn't want to wet the bed anymore. He's always staring off in the distance. He's constantly reading books. He's bringing up the idea of magic, monsters, fairies, and spirits to his father that has never heard of this stuff. Yes, his father is a nobleman. He is very, learned and whatnot, so he would obviously know if there was these things in this world. And yes, the assumption there is that there's things that haven't been created yet, or at least discovered. But it was kind of a cool thing to kind of get this perspective of her, and she's constantly describing him and always kind of trying to protect him and get stronger for his sake because he seems like he's so reliable. He's much more grown up than she is. And she sort of has this admiration for him. But yes, eventually when it gets to the point where it starts to get into the magic and trying to discover how it works, it hasn't really 100% said exactly what it is. I assume based on the fact that it was glowing out of this water that possibly there was a spirit in the lake. That could still be the case. But yeah, the assumption here is that it's possible that this world itself creates magic through love. And that's sort of what they're implying with him embracing his sister and saying that he's dedicated his entire life to, always being with her. It's not really like it seems like it's going the route of, yes, incest. I joke about it, but I don't think it's actually going that route. I don't think he actually has romantic feelings for her. I don't think she has romantic feelings for him. It's just more of the aspect that, yes, it seems like it's creating the idea of just sort of having some sort of bond with somebody, some love for somebody else, even if it is just brother and sister, that's what creates the magic itself. And I guess that's the direction it can go. And they could definitely have that be sort of a passion thing that creates the magic, just being with the other people, sort of creating some bond with somebody else. And yeah, based on the OP, that's probably the direction it can go, and the idea of creating a massive harem. Everybody that he sort of forms a bond with, obviously probably the commoner girl that shows up at some point, Rose, create some kind of bond with them, and then he's able to create magic from that. Why in the OP he has some sort of gauntlet, that's the question mark. I'm assuming maybe something from the lake. Maybe there's a possibility he still has to pull something from the lake in order to create that reaction. But either way, it seems to be the direction it's going is some sort of bond with somebody creates that magic. And whether he could probably, at that point, teach that to somebody else, that's the question mark. But either way, it was an interesting kind of creation of that. It kind of is going the route of somebody who has been isekai'd and probably immediately at that point said, crap, it's an isekai world, so obviously there's magic right here, right? And then realizing at some point, crap, there is no magic. That's the downer thing. I do admit that despite the fact that I like the unique aspect of having it be Marie's perspective and her kind of observing the main character for the first episode, I do have to say that there is a side of it that almost kind of ruins the characterizations of the characters so far. I don't really feel a bond with anybody besides Mary so far. Like, getting her perspective was great. I getting a great insight into her character and the fact that she's always looked up to him, thought that he was special, at the same time always trying to strive to get stronger and better herself for his sake. At the same time, I don't get the appeal of Shion himself besides the fact that he's always got his head in a book. Despite the fact that she's always talking about him, it doesn't seem like there's really much to his character so far. So I think that's probably something that will be hopefully corrected in the coming episodes, is to get more of his character, what's his driving force, or if there's anything to him besides his obsession with magic. That's going to be the massive question mark. There's kind of the fear that I have for the series overall. Yes, we also get a little bit of characterization with Rose, who is this commoner girl that's in the area that at some point helps them catch this other fish. But other than that, I haven't really gotten much of the characters at all. Visually, the show is like borderline butt. This is Studio Dean. What do you expect from Studio Dean? The studio that, yes, every now and then makes something good, but for the most part is like the most like sub-level possible of quality. Like, it's never like trash, but it's always like right there at that borderline. And so yes, so far, this show does not look good. The character designs themselves are so off-model, like pretty much 90% of the time, unless it's like a very close-up shot. But even then, there's like a wonkiness to where the eyes are located and how the face is structured. I think that's probably like its biggest weakness, is the fact that this show just doesn't look good. And it's kind of a fall off for me because I just came off of watching Flower and Asura, and then I come to this and it's like, okay, great transition here from a show that's like a 8 or a 9 out of 10 for visual quality and everything to a show that's just barely moving. It also has that problem where you'll kind of transition from a still shot over to something has happened, but you'll just hear the sound effect and it just happened. That kind of stuff for it. So if you're looking for something good looking, this is definitely not going to be it. But I have a lot of hope for this show. Like, again, I think it's the way that it's kind of opened up its story is very unique. I am hoping that Shion himself has a lot to his character. I'm unfortunately kind of expecting not really much besides an obsession with magic. But I am hoping to have a lot more to the story than just trying to discover magic. It seems like it's already kind of breadcrumbing the idea of the dangers of the monsters in the area. Hopefully there's an aspect of trying to protect his family, because it does seem like he does have a care for his family, mostly based on the ED itself, giving a lot of emphasis on the idea of the magic being created by bonds with people, and it's showing his parents and his sister. So at least there's a solid story there. But I'm going to go into it with the expectation that it's probably going to be very bog standard. I want magic, and at some point I have to help family. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on Magic Maker so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of the series if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. I'll be doing first impressions of all the shows of the season, so definitely stick around. If you like this content and you want to support channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it does. Until next time, y'all take care.